Many years ago, I worked for an IT security systems integrator on one of those really awkward bids. You know, the sort where they just seem to ask all the wrong questions. They wanted to know details about seemingly random and irrelevant parts of the business. They had weirdly specific questions about our accounts and accounting practices. There were complex and confusing contract documents and terms and conditions scattered everywhere. They asked for details about our accident record and reporting procedures. They wanted to know if our delivery team was certified to some obscure standard we'd never heard of, which turned out to be required for working at the top of mobile phone masts. And actually, that one was really easy because no, we weren't certified, but then we weren't bidding to put engineers up towers either. Our people would be working in an office, and we were reasonably confident they wouldn't fall from a height. Except for Matt. I'd seen him fall off a stool. So you might be thinking, those are all just perfectly normal, and they might be in your industry, but for us, these were questions we just hadn't seen before. And I'm sure you can imagine similar RFPs from your own experience. Speaking of your own experience, if you'd like to experience more of my videos, then click subscribe. You'll know when I release new content, and it really helps me grow the channel. I appreciate the support. Back to my awkward RFP. Many of the questions were completely inappropriate for the type of work we did, and that made them really difficult to answer. I mean, for example, the accident report. We very rarely had accidents, and none of them were officially reportable. So it's quite challenging to answer detailed questions about accidents and procedures and what we learned and had improved and changed. In our accident log, by far the most serious incident was a visiting supplier who put his laptop in the boot of his car and then, for some reason, shut the boot lid on his head. Don't worry, he was fine. But of course, the prospect had asked these questions in a formal RFP, and we needed to find a way to respond. Luckily, getting all of this information from subject matter experts across the organization turned out to be quite easy. But that's not because of how I ran the bid. It was because of all the prep work I did long before it ever came out. Because what really made the difference was a weekly coffee shared with the finance team and just sitting there patiently listening to the company lawyer complain about whatever had annoyed him that week. And helping HR to digitize the accident log came in very useful. And writing a backup section for part of the proposal where I just didn't think I was going to get the cooperation. Not exactly a normal bid plan, but what it did get me was the earned cooperation of the subject matter experts I needed. I specialize in bid technology, and while there are benefits in using collaboration software, I think working with SMEs is really a human challenge. And it is a challenge. Collaboration with SMEs is repeatedly cited as one of the top issues facing bid and proposal professionals. In fact, according to Lupio's RFP response trends and benchmarks report, it's been the number one challenge for 5 years running, impacting 48% of respondents in 2024. And Responsive State of Strategic Response Management report broadly agrees, with 38% reporting difficulty getting input from multiple SMEs as a challenge. So, what's going on? Are subject matter experts universally unreliable, too busy, or ignorant of the value and urgency required in bidding? Or could it be us? Perhaps we're not managing expectations and putting in place the building blocks for good collaboration. Instead of putting up with the problem and continuing to report it in surveys, maybe we need to go upstream, find out why they aren't delivering, and then figure out how to help them help us. So I believe there are three main things we can do to start fixing this problem. The first is to build trust. We need to put in the preparation work, build the relationships, and create a bidding culture where our partners across the business understand the importance and value of their timely contributions. Building trust is really about how we show up for them, because long before an SME decides what to give you, they're going to decide how they feel about working with you. That's why it's important to demonstrate our value and always treat people as humans. Number two is to remove friction. It's not that our SMEs don't want to help, but because helping us is unnecessarily stressful for them. When we remove the friction from their path and make it easier for them to focus on delivering their expertise, we can transform collaboration. Because when we make it easier for people to help us, they usually will. And number three is to scale our influence. Building trust and removing friction are a good start, but we can do more. We can apply our skills and techniques as proposal professionals to reduce repeat effort, reinforce good behaviors, and increase our influence even where we don't have formal authority. And this really becomes how bid teams move from being just task managers to becoming the strategic connectors of the business. So if there's one idea I want you to take away from this video, it's this. Collaboration breaks down not because SMEs resist bids, but because they resist how bids make them feel. When SMEs struggle, it's rarely because they don't want to help, but because helping is unnecessarily stressful. When we can demonstrate our value to them and we treat them as humans, not just resources, collaboration stops being forced and starts being voluntary. Because influence doesn't come from job titles, it comes from being consistently helpful, memorable, and fair to the people we work with and depend on. So, thank you for watching. And if you liked this video, please do take the time to give it a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any helpful tips on working with subject matter experts on proposals, please let me know in the comments.